Hello, students. Welcome back to your computer science class. I am Mrs. Jenny Shah, and this is the last chapter for this year, Society, Law, and Ethics. We are living in an era of information, and we see that most of our activities today are technology influenced. Whether you're making online payment, whether you're developing any art, whether you are researching any information, whether you're doing anything, you are using technology or you are influenced by technology. Okay, so with so much of reach of technology in our day-to-day life, we need to understand some issues and problems that are related with society, ethics, and law. We will talk about topics like intellectual property rights, plagiarism, cybercrime, cyber law, e waste management, etc. Today, we can say that our society is information society and we are living in the era of information. We all know that information is means to acquire knowledge. Information forms the intellectual capital for a person or a body. But there are some ethical issues involved with the usage and availability of information today. You can, then I will ask you what words come to your mind when I say the word ethics. You may say moral, principles, integrity, conscience, fairness, choice, responsibility, etc. Yes. But what do you mean, or how will you apply this to computers? What are computer ethics? We know that ethics is a set of moral principles that govern the behavior of a group or individual. Therefore, computer ethics is a set of moral principles that regulate the use of computers. Some common issues of computer ethics today include intellectual property rights, privacy concerns, and also how the computers are affecting the society. Intellectual property right. Any piece of information that is produced or created with a lot of effort generally consumes a lot of time. The cost factor is also involved when you are creating or producing information. But once it's produced, duplicating it or sharing it with others is very easy. This makes information very difficult to safeguard, unlike other tangible properties. So, intellectual property rights. Intellectual property is any property that is created by the mind of an individual and it has commercial and moral value. Intellectual property rights, they are the rights of the owner of the information, and the owner can decide how much information is to be exchanged, shared, or distributed. It gives the owner a right to decide the price for doing so. So, intellectual property rights grants exclusive rights to the author for utilizing and benefiting from their creation. So, the creator or the producer of the information is the real owner of the information, and this owner has every right to protect his or her intellectual property. To protect one's intellectual property right, we can get information copyrighted, patented, trademarked, etc. So, the ethical issues involved with information about not being exchanged without the consent of the owner, and the intellectual property right protects it. It because of this law, intellectual property right, today individuals and businesses are not scared of creating new software or new application of existing software. It also ensures that new ideas and technologies are widely distributed, and it promotes investment in the national economy. What do you mean by violation of intellectual property law? The violation of intellectual property law, or IPR, is called infringement. Okay, it's called infringement. And infringement is a breach or the contravention of the prescribed procedure of the law. When a person acts ultra vires, it becomes a breach of the law, which ultimately results in a violation or infringement of law. Infringement is described as a crime less serious than a felony, a crime less serious than a felony. The use of intellectual property by a stranger without prior consent of the owner is infringement of the intellectual property law. The infringement of intellectual property law includes patent infringement, trademark infringement, copyright infringement, etc. So these are the different types of infringements that take place. Intellectual property rights are the legal rights that are granted to a person for any creative and artistic work, for any invention or discovery, or for any literacy work or words, phrases, and symbols or designs for a stipulated period of time. Intellectual property is any innovation, commercial or artistic, or any unique name, symbol, logo, or design used commercially. In India, IP is governed under the Patents Act 1970, Trademarks Act 1999, Copyright Act 1957, Designs Act 2001, etc. So there are three forms of IPR infringement: plagiarism, patent infringement, copyright infringement, and trademark infringement. Plagiarism. Plagiarism is stealing someone else's intellectual work and representing it as your own work without citing the source of information. Basically, plagiarism means stealing. It is the unauthorized use or close imitation of language or thoughts of another person and representing them as your own original work. Some common types of plagiarism is when you submit someone else's work in your name, when you refer an incorrect or non-existent source, give credit to something that's incorrect or non-existent. Direct plagiarism is copying text from another document word to word. Self or autoplagiarism means to reuse a major part of your work without attribution. Paraphrasing, when you make small changes to others' writing. Mosaic is when you interlay someone else's phrases or tag or text within your own work. Accidental is when you're doing it unintentionally or you copy because of some neglect. Inaccurate authorship is authorship instead of acknowledgement to contributors and vice versa. There are some more given in your textbook. Failure in giving credit, modifying someone's work, and using someone's work. So, how can you avoid plagiarism? While conducting your research, you may have found that other people have similar ideas like yours. There can be another researcher who can have had the same idea as you. So instead of copying it, you can quote it. That means you use the exact same words as the original and you quote the sentences so that it is set apart from the rest of your text. You can paraphrase it. That means you rewrite the original ideas in your own words, and the paraphrase sentence must only match the source document in terms of meaning and not exact words. Or you can summarize, that means you put your original ideas into your own words. The summarized text must provide a short overview of the source text, and it must be shorter than the original version. Besides this, you can give credit to the other person whenever you're using someone else's idea, opinion, or theory. You can use quotation marks and you can paraphrase it. Next is copyright infringement. What is copyright infringement? It is when someone else, someone other than the copyright holder, uses or copies the work of copyright holder. This can occur even when the work is not copied exactly. Types of copyright infringement, there are many types. So basically, copyright infringement refers to using copyrighted work without prior consent or permission. Okay. The infringement of IP occurs when an individual or group of individuals will fabricate copyrights work without giving them any credit. So, for example, if you are using an image or a video online without asking for permission, it can be copyright infringement because not everything available on internet is free of use. In fact, most of the things are copyright protected. Some examples of copyright infringement would be when you are selling pirated books or you're selling, duplicate paintings or pirated software, or you're performing a play in public without obtaining correct information. Online piracy, etc. So all these are copyright infringement. Next is trademark infringement. Now, trademark infringement is basically unauthorized use of a mark that is identical or it is similar to a registered trademark. It is basically unauthorized use of a mark. So, for example, the logo of Coca-Cola or McDonald's, we cannot use it anywhere we want unless we take a prior permission. All types, some types of trademark infringement are falsely claiming the trademark registration, that falsely saying that your logo is trademark registered. Second is selling goods with a false trademark, selling or dealing in any sorts of goods or services that have false or unauthorized trademark, And lastly, applying flawless trademark, being involved in any process of manufacturing or processing, of packaging of goods or services with unauthorized trademark. These are the common trademark infringements nowadays. The types of trademarks that can be registered in India can be words and service marks. It can be shape. It can be logo as well as symbols. It could be collective marks, a series of marks, or a certification mark.